No! Oh. Okay. What a shock. Okay, that's it. No, we need to talk about something important that's happened recently to me. Now, every streamer fears this day when they wake up and have this realization. And sadly, this early in my streaming career, it has already happened to me. I quit playing a game. To be precise, I quit playing Atomic Heart. It is a game that has very good visuals. It looks really amazing, it does. Honestly, to be fair here, it looked freaking fantastic most of the time. I was blown away with it. Genuinely, it looked amazing. It had everything I was looking for when looking at a game's cover art. Great visuals, two beautiful ladies, great graphics, interesting concepts, and a plausible story that seemed fun to play through. But then things started getting difficult about 2 seconds into actual gameplay. You see, the game has a very long opening. Sentiments exactly, as I'm sure you're seeing right now. It starts off with you seeing the world railroaded pretty much the same way that it was in Half-Life. It takes you through many of the areas and shows you the interactions between robots and humans, which is very interesting to see. I can't deny that. Then the game moves you through getting different abilities. The first ability is to scan. You can scan through walls when the game decides you should be able to see what's behind the wall. But that's not even the worst of it. You move through and you don't really know what's happening. You get told what to do and you get a key and then something goes wrong like it always does. Beautiful areas that seems like the Garden of Eden or whatever else you want, Nirvana, always turns into a big problem later on, usually pretty much immediately upon us entering the game. We don't actually get to experience much of the utopia thing here. So what happens is the robots start killing everyone. That's basically the gist of it, right? And we get told to go down into a facility, first by an old granny lady, and then once we're in the facility we get told that, oh yeah, you should actually be down there. Don't worry about the details of who is talking to us or why they're telling us to do things. That is just something we learn through the game, why they are giving us commands. And as we move through this facility we figure out, oh, this entire robot revolution is spearheaded by one guy, and we get this guy and he dies, and the girl that's with him runs away, and we get told to go and take care of a whole bunch of other things. Now the problem is, during all of this, you will be hating every single second of it. I set my game initially to the medium difficulty. I thought that would be fine. I thought that was perfect. You know, I'm a veteran player. I play most games on medium difficulty because just running through it in easy mode bores me. Genuinely bores me. I want some challenge, but not to hate every single moment of it. Yet in this game, I never had enough ammo to do anything. And my swings from the axe that was supposed to be extremely helpful turned out to be extremely useless. Melee weapons in this game just sucks, okay? We gotta get it over with. The melee weapons look cool and they can be upgraded, and some of them are useful when you lower the settings. Because if you play this game at medium difficulty, no matter how strong you actually make your melee weapons, they are pretty much useless. The only reason you are using them at all is because you have run out of ammunition for both your energy guns, your left hand abilities, and your actual physical normal gun. I cannot tell you how many times this happened either, because I genuinely stopped counting. Like, I died so many times in the first few minutes of this game, I just stopped caring entirely throughout, and it became such a frustrating thing. That is why I lowered the difficulty eventually, because I was like, listen, I don't want to play a game that's set to be difficult but not impossible, yet here I am struggling every single moment. Not because lack of skill, but because I'm not being given the right resources to overcome the enemies that I'm fighting. As much as the cliche it is, I do need to get ammunition or a save point and other things before fighting a big enemy. And it needs to be clear when I'm about to fight a big enemy. Because most of the time in this game you are just told, listen, go to X place, do X thing. Okay, now go to X place and do X thing. Now go to the next place and do X thing. And at randomly, one of those will involve fighting either a horde of robots, a horde of biologically engineered changed creatures, which were humans, or you would fight the boss. And fighting hordes can be overcome with just some skill, I'll admit here, especially once you change the difficulty down to the lowest settings. Just swinging at them can work. But fighting a boss is not like that. To fight bosses you usually need to hit specific spots, then hit them again with a specific weapon, and figure out their weak points as you go, which isn't always easy to figure out because the game doesn't always tell you what to do or where to go, which is good in one sense, but not good overall. In fact, I found myself fighting some bosses that I was just like, how do I defeat this guy? I'm shooting him, his health is dropping barely, and I don't have enough ammunition to do any actual damage, and I cannot get close enough to him to do physical damage. So how do I defeat him? Oh, I'm just gonna hide behind this thing randomly while I'm reloading. Oh, the boss ran into it. Okay, that did some damage, but not a lot. Okay, what's the boss doing? Let's scan. Oh, the boss is now, for some reason, lying there, alone. Oh, okay, so I'm supposed to have the boss tire himself out, or hit one random thing that I can summon that goes away way too fast, if you ask me, by the way. And then he'll show a weak point. All of this affects how you play the game, obviously. Because if you're playing at any difficulty higher than easy, any robot can hit you twice and you will die. There is no question about it, you will die after 2 hits from any robots at all. That's just how it's going to be. So your melee weapons becomes a thing that you barely use because at any given time, 2 or 3 robots will be running at you. And if it's a humanoid robot, you're basically screwed. Because what will you do? Now, I did find it funny though, that once I set the difficulty to much easier, suddenly my axe could kill most robots with one swing. And when I did eventually get an upgraded, much stronger weapon, that thing was so OP that I almost stopped using my guns. Because it was a weapon that has a circular saw in it, that I could send out to destroy enemies from a distance and only use energy, doing physical damage from a distance, which was honestly amazing. And why the game didn't give me this at the start instead of an axe, I'll never know. I also never actually got to the box art weapon because that's not important. It's a weapon that I feel would be less useful than the weapon that I did end up using. And then we also need to talk about the fact that if you have energy guns and you upgrade your energy gun, you are wasting parts. Because the energy guns aren't nearly as useful as they should be. Now you would think that a gun that shoots electricity would stun your enemy, but it doesn't. There's only 2 ways to stun an enemy. Use your glove's shock ability or use your glove's freezing ability. The actual guns that shoot electricity only do damage, which makes them overall pretty useless because they do not do enough damage to actually kill anything on medium or higher difficulties. On easy difficulty, you can shoot the chopper twice and it'll die. You can shoot the engineers 3 or 4 times in the head and they will die. The problem is, most of the time you'll be facing 4 or 5 engineers along with about 200 other freaking small robots flying around and recovering other robots, which makes it all the more annoying. But okay, that's the fighting system, right? Oh shit, yeah, there's one more thing that I need to mention. Then this is an oh shit area. You get canisters in this game. The canisters are the most important part of this game. Never in the game do they tell you about the canisters. The canisters are never explained, which makes it all the more annoying when you figure out that you can apply canisters to your physical attacks or your guns, and that will allow you to actually apply elemental damage. The canisters have shock, freezing, and fire damage that they can do. I don't know if there's more. I've not played the game further than this. That's as far as I've played. And what else? Oh yeah, The game has, for some reason, platforming in it. You need to wall jump and jump from ledges and swim around, and it's like, this is a first person shooter. It isn't optimized at all for it. Trust me, it's not. You will fall so many times because you cannot figure out onto what you need to jump next, or if you can turn around, because the game's controls are pretty jank. It is notoriously difficult to move around, and when you do move around while shooting things or exploring places, most likely you're gonna die, because either something's gonna sneak up and kill you, or you're gonna make a mistake and fall off something very high. Now, there are 2 or maybe 3 big issues with the game that other streamers have also complained about. I personally didn't like the combat, which is why I've stopped playing now, right? But it is worth mentioning that, well, the map sucks. I've never opened a game map and not know what to do with it, and Atomic Heart has somehow done that. If I open up this map, I don't know where to go. I barely know where anything is. It's a very difficult to navigate map, and what makes it worse is, once you exit the map, I cannot stress this enough, there is no way to orient yourself. You don't even have a bar at the bottom or at the top to show you which way is north, south, east or west. All you have to go on is the map and which way you were facing last time you moved, because turning the camera does not move you actually physically in the world. So the way your character is facing when you go into the map, that's the way you will be facing. So if you want to find out the right direction to go, you go into the map, find out where the hell the objective is, exit the map, turn around, open the map again, and then make sure that you are actually facing the way that the objectives are. Of course, you can see the general direction of the objective, but that does not help you when you need to navigate around roads and buildings. It makes it almost useless for you, because there is no mini-map. Now, the next big problem for me personally was the scan. If you press left alt, you would scan the area around you. I can't remember if it's left alt or left control, it doesn't matter, right? You would scan with the shape of an L on your forehead, right? And what you would discover is you would find hidden pipes, things that are breakable, robots behind walls, a whole bunch of different things. Except it didn't always work. Sometimes you would scan to see if there's a robot hiding behind a wall somewhere, and it just wouldn't show you. So you would go around a wall and boom, a robot's already there waiting for you to die. Sometimes you would just have to follow electrical lines. As you follow the electrical line, you cannot fight, because while you're scanning, you move at a walking pace. You cannot dodge, and you cannot, even a little bit, and I'm not exaggerating it, even a little bit, you cannot fight back. So if you are scanning, you are a sitting duck. Most of the time you will be scanning in the open world, where there are robots that can appear from any corner, or cameras that can see you at any moment, and you will have to fight. And once you exit the scanner, the things that you were scanning for sometimes just disappear. Like in this one section of the game where I was stuck for much longer than I should have been. I was looking for 2 electrical lines going out to control the security and elevator system. And I would start the scanning operation at the main building where it all came from, right? And as I move closer and closer and closer to the actual part, usually I would be required to fight something. So I would stop scanning, fight off the robots, and then try to rescan, only for the electricity lines to no longer appear, because now the scan is picking up new things that aren't important for me to see, that aren't objective for me to see, yet that's all I would be able to see. We can also now talk about the last part, the part that made me not engage with the game. The story of Atomic Heart doesn't happen with you, it happens at you. What do I mean by this? Our character isn't really involved in the stories in the same way that our character is during cutscenes. So if I'm running around and fighting things, that has no effect on the story. The main part of the story that I got to was clear all the problems, fix the place up, stop the robots from rampaging, right? However, there was a story happening about Russian officials doing things and one scientist having to figure out what's happening with the robots and another scientist and big control stuff. None of this happens with gameplay around me. The glove talks incessantly about long philosophical ideas that our characters usually against, while at the same time, every cutscene is devoid of what we are actually doing in the game. Like many times we enter a cutscene area, controllers taken away, cameras become dynamic, we see what's happening, people talk to each other, our character is told go down this lift, go through that door, go fix that problem, and you are taken away to go and do that. I'm genuinely serious here. That is how Atomic Heart tells the story that it has to tell. And the story does look interesting, but it's also very cookie cutter. It took me about 5 minutes to figure out what was actually happening. I'm not going to spoil what is happening, but I did go and Google it and I was like, oh yeah, that is exactly what I thought was going to happen. That is the exact story that I knew Atomic Heart wanted to tell us. Now, we also need to talk about the last thing. The game is unpolished. There are a lot of small issues with the game. Sometimes I will get stuck on things that I thought weren't there. Sometimes I'll be hit in the face by a robot and be pushed up against a wall or onto a small thing. It might be a bed, might be a piece of rubble, whatever is in the area, and I won't be able to move. I can't duck out, I can't dodge out, I cannot jump out because I cannot move over the robots that are attacking me. Which means usually 2 or 3 robots are now attacking me at the same time. I can't reload, I can't fight back, and I cannot move or run away because the game glitched me into a corner where I'm unable to move. This happened several times and it became so frustrating that I stopped getting. As soon as I felt myself unable to move, I just stopped playing. Okay, now I'm going to be dead. Now, Atomic Heart has its fun parts. We need to talk about this because everybody probably played, or I say everybody, but all the guys I know out there probably started playing Atomic Heart for the same reason. So I'm going to end this with a showing from the twins before they turned evil. That looks so awesome though. They look a lot cooler without the dead eyes. Okay, that's becoming very creepy very fast. What is she doing? What the fuck am I looking at? What the fuck? What the hell is happening?